Mystical City of God, translated from the original Spanish by Michael Kress, read by the translator. Dramatizations are also included. This is the full 4-volume Mystical City of God. Book 1, Chapter 10. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you, who has great anger, knowing that he has little time. Woe to the earth, where countless sins and evils will be committed. Woe to the sea, which, though witnessing such offenses against its Creator, did not unleash its currents to drown the transgressors and avenge the insults against its Maker and Lord. Woe also to the deep and hardened sea of sin, the souls of those who followed the devil, now filled with wickedness. The devil has descended to the earth with great wrath, bringing an unheard of and cruel fury. His anger is like that of a fierce dragon or a devouring lion, intent on annihilating all things. To him, every day of the world's existence seems too short to execute his malice. His thirst for destruction is insatiable, extending beyond mortal lifetimes. If it were possible, he would desire an eternity of time to wage war against the children of God. Yet among all his targets, his fiercest hatred is reserved for the woman foretold to crush his head. This is why the evangelist writes, "And after he saw how the dragon was thrown into the earth, he chased the woman who gave birth to the Son." When the ancient serpent found himself cast into the depths of hell, his anger and envy burned fiercely, consuming him like a moth from within. Against the woman, the mother of the incarnate Word, he conceived such intense rage that no human language or understanding could fully grasp or express it. His hatred exploded the moment he and his armies were thrown from heaven into the abyss, and I will recount, to the best of my ability, what has been revealed to me through divine understanding. During the first week described in Genesis, when God created the world and its creatures, Lucifer and his demons were already conspiring and plotting evil against the Word, who was to become man, and against the woman who would bear him. On the first day, corresponding to Sunday, the angels were created and given laws and commandments to obey. The wicked angels disobeyed and transgressed these divine laws, leading to the events described earlier, until the morning of the second day, corresponding to Monday, when Lucifer and his followers were cast into hell. During this time, the process of the angels' creation, their actions, their battle, and their fall or glorification unfolded. Once Lucifer and his cohorts were confined to hell, they assembled there in a grim congregation that lasted until the morning of the fourth day, corresponding to Thursday. During this time, Lucifer channeled all his diabolical wisdom and malice into plotting with the demons, how they could most grievously offend God and exact revenge for their punishment. Their ultimate conclusion was this: the greatest vengeance and insult against God, given his love for humanity, would be to thwart the effects of that love. To achieve this, they resolved to deceive, persuade, and compel human beings, as much as possible, to reject God's friendship and grace, become ungrateful to him, and rebel against his will. Lucifer, addressing his followers, declared,
"In this mission, we must dedicate all our strength, cunning, and intelligence. We will bring human creatures to follow our will and destroy them. We will pursue this generation of men and deprive them of the reward promised to them. Let us use all our vigilance to ensure they never behold the face of God, which has been unjustly denied to us. I will achieve great triumphs over them, destroy everything, and subject them to my power. I will sow new sects, errors, and laws contrary to those of the Most High. I will raise up false prophets and leaders from among them to spread the doctrines I implant in them. And in revenge against their Creator, I will drag them to this torment, consigning them to eternal fire alongside me."
He continued,
"I will afflict the poor, oppress the downtrodden, and persecute the weak. I will sow discord, incite wars, and turn nations against one another. I will breed arrogance and pride and expand the dominion of sin. When they obey me, I will cast them into the depths of this eternal fire to endure the most severe torments, closer to me than all others. This will be my kingdom and the reward I give to my servants."
Lucifer further proclaimed,
"I will wage a bloody war against the humanized Word, even though he is God, for he will also take on a nature inferior to mine. I will exalt my throne and dignity above his. I will overcome him and overthrow him with my power and cunning. As for the woman destined to be his mother, I will destroy her by my own hands. What is one mere woman compared to my power and greatness? You, demons, who have shared in my rebellion, follow me and obey me in this vengeance, as you did in our disobedience. Pretend to care for men to lead them to ruin. Serve them only to destroy and deceive them. Assist them only to corrupt them and bring them to my domain.
No human language can fully describe the malice and fury of this first council that Lucifer held in hell against humanity, which had not yet been created but was foreseen. It was there, in that abominable assembly, that all the vices and sins of the world were conceived. From that chaos emerged lies, heresies, errors, and all forms of iniquity. It is this infernal assembly that all evildoers ultimately serve. Following this counsel, Lucifer sought to address God directly, and in his infinite wisdom the Lord permitted it. This moment recalls the scene in the book of Job, when Satan requested permission to tempt the righteous man. On the day corresponding to Thursday, Lucifer spoke to the Most High.
Lord, your hand has fallen heavily upon me, punishing me with such great cruelty. You have resolved to favor humanity, to exalt and glorify the humanized word, and to enrich the woman destined to be his mother with countless gifts. While this may align with your justice and equity, you have also given me permission to persecute and tempt mankind. Now, I ask that you grant me the same permission to tempt and make war on this Christ, both God and man, and on the woman who is to be his mother. Allow me to unleash all my power against them.
Lucifer's arrogance momentarily gave way to a forced humility as he begged for this license. This submission was not sincere but born of desperation, as his fury and desire to destroy were so overwhelming that he momentarily abandoned his pride in favor of securing his wicked goal. He knew that without the Almighty's permission, he could do nothing. Particularly when it came to Christ and his Blessed Mother, he repeatedly humbled himself, though it was a violent and reluctant act. His rage was tempered only by the fear of the prophecy that foretold his ultimate defeat, when the woman would crush his head, Genesis 3 verse 15. The Lord answered Lucifer, "You should not, Satan, demand permission under the guise of justice to tempt the humanized word, for he is your God, the omnipotent and supreme Lord, though he will also be true man, and you are but his creature. While other men may sin and submit to your will, sin will be impossible in my only begotten Son. He is wholly just and separated from sinners, Hebrews 7 verse 26. And even if others fall, he will lift them up and redeem them. As for the woman whom you hate so much, though she will be a pure creature and the daughter of human parents, I have already decreed to preserve her entirely from sin. She will always belong wholly to me, and you shall never have any claim over her, at any time, for any reason." Lucifer replied arrogantly,
How can this woman be considered holy if I am denied the right to test or tempt her? This is neither fairness nor just judgment, nor can it be considered proper or commendable.
Lucifer then added other blasphemies with his prideful insolence. But the Most High, in his infinite wisdom, responded, I grant you permission to tempt Christ, for in this he will serve as an example and teacher for others. I also grant you permission to pursue the woman, but you will not touch her bodily life. I desire that both Christ and his mother, though exalted, shall not be exempt from being tempted, so that they may show their virtue and serve as models for all others. Upon receiving this permission, the dragon rejoiced more than ever before, as he resolved to personally carry out the persecution against Christ and his mother with all his cunning and malice. He determined not to entrust this task to any other demon, but to take it on himself. This is why the evangelist says, The dragon pursued the woman who gave birth to the Son. With the permission granted by the Lord, Lucifer waged an unprecedented war against the woman whom he believed to be the mother of the humanized Word. The battles and struggles that ensued were of a magnitude beyond human comprehension. What was equally marvelous was the manner in which the woman resisted and triumphed gloriously. To protect her from the dragon, it is said, she was given 2 wings of a great eagle so that she could fly into the wilderness to her place, where she would be nourished for a time and times. These 2 wings were given to the Blessed Virgin in preparation for her conflict with Lucifer, as the Lord bestowed upon her particular gifts and graces. The first wing was an infused knowledge of great mysteries and sacraments, which strengthened her. The second wing was a profound and renewed humility that elevated her soul to new heights of sanctity. With these two wings, the Virgin took flight to the Lord, her refuge and dwelling place. Like a golden eagle, she soared far above her adversary, never returning to engage him on his terms. She lived entirely for God, detached from earthly things, focused solely on the divine as her ultimate goal. In this solitude, she was nourished with the sweetest manna, the grace and divine words of the Almighty. The phrase time and times refers not only to her lifelong nourishment by God's grace, but also to the eternal happiness in which all her victories would be crowned and rewarded. And for half the time out of the face of the serpent. This half the time refers to the period in which the Blessed Virgin lived her life on earth, free from the pursuit of the dragon. After having defeated him in the battles she fought with him, she was, by divine decree, granted peace and freedom from his assaults. This privilege was a reward for her victorious struggle, allowing her to enjoy the stillness and tranquility she had earned. I will elaborate on this later. However, during the period of active persecution, the evangelist writes, "And the serpent cast out of his mouth a flood of water after the woman, to carry her away by the flood. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed the flood which the dragon had cast out of its mouth." Lucifer unleashed all his malice and strength against the Blessed Virgin, focusing more effort on her alone than on all other souls he has tempted throughout time. Like the powerful surge of a rushing river, he spewed lies, slanders, and temptations against her, attempting to overwhelm her. Yet the earth helped her, because the land of her body and nature was not under the curse placed on Adam and Eve. When God pronounced the punishment that the earth would produce thorns and thistles, Genesis 3 verses 17 and 18, this curse did not extend to Mary Most Holy. Her nature was free from the fomes peccati that burdens the rest of humanity. Unlike other descendants of Adam, who possess disordered passions and inclinations that aid the devil's deceptions, Mary's nature was entirely free from such weaknesses. Her most pure and orderly inclinations, perfectly aligned with grace, allowed her to overcome every temptation. In this sense, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed the flood, as Lucifer's attempts to corrupt her were futile. In contrast, the rest of humanity struggles against its own inclinations, which often align with the devil's schemes. Mary Most Holy, as the blessed land of the Lord, was untouched by sin and impervious to the devil's attacks. The disordered passions and vulnerabilities that plague other humans were entirely absent in her. While Satan uses our natural inclinations to drag us into sin, in Mary, there was no prepared matter for such temptations to take hold. For this reason, the flood of temptations that the dragon unleashed was swallowed and rendered powerless. Frustrated and defeated, the dragon's fury only grew, as described in the next verse, and the dragon was angry with the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. Having been utterly defeated by the Virgin Mary, the dragon turned his fury toward the Church and its members, those who, through baptism, are marked by the blood of Christ and called to follow his commandments. Recognizing that he could not harm Christ or his mother, Lucifer shifted his efforts to wage war on her spiritual offspring, the faithful of the Church. In particular, he targeted the virtue of chastity, directing his attacks toward those consecrated to Christ in virginity. Virgins, who embody the purity of Mary herself, have become a special target of Satan's rage, as they are a living testimony to the holiness of the Virgin Mother and the Lamb. And the dragon stood on the sand of the sea. This signifies the vanity and transitory nature of the world, which the dragon uses to sustain and carry out his wicked plans. Like hay that withers and burns, the world's fleeting allure becomes the foundation of his attacks. All these events occurred in heaven, where God revealed to the angels his decrees concerning the privileges and graces destined for the Mother of the Word. Although I have tried to describe what I have understood, the abundance of mysteries leaves me unable to fully express their depth. The grandeur of these revelations surpasses my ability to convey them adequately in words.